Well, for this month's Well Read, we're looking at different dimensions in time and the different ways our lives can go. Bestselling author Chantel Guertin joins us with her favorite picks this year. Chantel, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, so you brought us 4 books that we're going to discuss today. Let's start with the first one. I think we've been here before. What's this one about?
Okay, so the premise here is that the world is going to be ending within a few months. So that is a hard concept to wrap your head around. It's set in Saskatchewan. The main character's daughter is in Berlin, and so she's trying to get home. And the person who helps her seems strangely familiar, even though it's a stranger. The father is reconnected with like a long lost friend. So there's a lot of things that you're like trying to understand what's happening. Why does it seem, and they all sort of feel like the future feels familiar to them. So that's kind of like the time shifting. So it's a really interesting premise too. I was saying to you, like my husband was saying to me, if the world's ending, why do we care about any of this stuff happening? But I mean, this is what you have to do when you're reading. You're suspending your disbelief, because I think it raises a good question. Like if you did feel like you only had a few months left and it's for everybody, like what happens, right?
What
are you exactly, and how do you not just become sort of paralyzed by it actually?
That's a really interesting concept, and definitely kind of lets you kind of take a break from the real world and almost dive into some different kind of realm of reality to kind of put yourself in that perspective.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. All right, let's talk about the Ministry of Time. Speaking of, you know, being in different time frames, this one sounds really interesting. One of them that I thought was really cool. Let's talk about that one.
Okay, so this one has been, I feel like this got a lot of buzz this year, a lot of lists. I really wanted to see what it was all about. And the premise here is that the government is sort of figuring out time travel, and so they want to test the theories. So they have this one woman that is working for them, and she's called the Bridge, and she takes in someone that they're called 1847. He's from the past. He's ex-military. And so what they've done is pluck, I think, 5 people from the past who would have died anyway, so it doesn't change the course of history. Bring them into the future. And so using them to test, okay, the limits of time travel, sort of as case subjects. So you can see, like, people are, if you were plucked from the past, also you really don't understand what's happening right now. So some of it is a little funny actually, as she's explaining like how things work today.
Like Spotify,
and so it's an interesting thing, especially if you've ever read The Time Traveler's Wife. There's a little, it feels a little bit like that, in that like, okay, time is shifting, so how do you bring it all together in the end?
Okay, and there's a bit of history, a bit of love in there too. That's really cool. I love that theme. Okay, the third book is the library one.
The Midnight Library. Yes, it's on the table because I lent it out. And this one is a few years older, but I had just randomly picked it up because I had never read anything by Matt Haig, who's the author, and I thought, oh, I'm going to try this one, and then realized it all fit into this theme. So this is the story of a girl who, it starts out and it says, like, she says, like 9 hours before I was going to die, and so she was going to take her own life, but her things are not going well for her. She's lost her job. Her cat has died. She lives alone. She's like, this is not the life I wanted. She goes into this thing called the Midnight Library, and the person working there is this librarian from when she was younger, but it's kind of like, you're like, is this a real place? And there's all these books, and they're the book of regrets. So you can pull a book from the shelf and go back to another time in your life where you made a pivotal decision and it changed the course of your future. So she goes back, and then she can like relive that in a different way. And then the minute she has disappointment, she's brought back to the library, and that world is over, and she has to pick a new book and go to another one.
Chantel, that one sounds really great. We only have 30 seconds left, but I know you brought the husbands back for us to discuss.
I brought it back.
Real quick, what's the big synopsis for this one?
I loved this book. This is the story that a husband comes down from the attic, and this is her world, and if she doesn't like him, she has to say, to the attic, and he goes and never comes back, and a new husband comes down.
I love that concept. All right, Chantel Guertin, thank you very much for sharing these books, these top picks for us with these common themes. We have all those details on our website. Check that out, chch.com.